Votes and proceedings. Page 3771, 3772, 3773, 3774, 3775, 3776, 3777, 3778, 3779, 3780, page 3781, 3782, 3783, 3784, 3785, 3786, 3787, 3788, 3789, 3790, page 3791, 3792, 3793, 3794, 3795, 3796, 3797, 3798, 3799, 3800, page 3801, 3802, 3803, 3804, 3805, 3806, 3807, 3808, 3809, 3810, page 3811, 3812, 3813, 3814, 3815, 3816, 3817, 3818, 3819, 3820, page 3821, 3822, 3823, 3824, 3825, 3826, 3827, 3828, 3829, 3830, page 3831, 3832, 3833, 3834, 3835, 3836, 3837, 3838, 3839, 3840, page 3841, 3842, 3843, 3844, 3845, 3846, 3847, 3848, 3849, 3850, page 3851, 3852, 3853, 3854, 3855, 3856, 3857, 3858, 3859, 3860, page 3861, 3862, 3863, 3864, 3865, 3866, 3867, 3868, 3869, 3870, page 3871. Distinguished Senator B.K. Amos.
Thank you, Mr. President. Distinguished colleagues, my name is Senator B.K. Amos. I represent the people of Gombe South. I rise to move that the vote and proceedings of Tuesday, the 5th of April 2022 be adopted. I so move. Thank you, sir.
Distinguished Senator Gary Dixon.
Thank you very much, Mr. President, my distinguished colleagues. I am Henry Siraki Dixon, representing Bayelsa West. I rise, Mr. President, to second.
Thank you very much. Distinguished colleagues, Those in favor of the motion that the votes and proceedings of Tuesday, 5th April 2022 be approved, say aye. Those against, say nay. The votes and proceedings of Tuesday, 5th day of April 2022 is hereby approved. Announcement. The President of the Senate meeting of APC, that is All Progressives Congress, Northwest Zonal Caucus. This message is to invite all APC senators from the Northwest Geopolitical Zone to meet with the Zonal Vice Chairman of the APC, Malam Salihu Lukman. Venue, Office of the Senate Leader. Date 6 April 2022. Time 2 p.m. prompt. Signed, Senator Yahya A. Abdullahi, PhD, OON, Senate Leader. Malaman Kabi. Petition. Distinguished Senator Albert Basi Akpan Oba.
Thank you, Mr. President. My distinguished and respected colleague, Senator Albert Basi Akpan, Akwa Ibom Northeast. Mr. President, may I please lay the petition by Barrister Vincent Iwude, PhD of Paramount Attorneys, writing on behalf of my constituents, three of them, Sunday Okon, Anthony Ebon, Joseph Edem, Victor Ebe, and Udwak Sampson, who were wrongly dismissed by Nigerian Police Force. The petitioner alleges that after undergoing due process and recruitment by Nigerian Police Force in 2003, Mr. President and distinguished colleagues, only in 2007 to be dismissed by Nigerian Police Force just on the basis that they were illiterates. The petitioner sought remedies in court and got a judgment against Nigerian Police Force, which has not been appealed against. Neither have they been reinstated by Nigerian Police Force. The petitioners are therefore seeking their remedy, that is the Senate of the people of Nigeria, and that we should please intervene in this regard. Mr. President, we have every confidence that these petitioners will find solace within the confines of this people's parliament. By your leave, Mr. President, may I please lay this petition?
Just hold on a bit. Let me seek legal advice. Could they have gone back to court, to the court, to ask for, is it affecting the court judgment? Isn't that a possibility?
I believe that the matter has not been appealed again to the President. They can find solace within the confines. They are not seeking legal remedy in court. They feel the intervention of the Senate will give them justice.
You may lay the report there. You may lay the petition there. Thank you. The petition is referred to the Committee on Ethics, Privileges, and Public Petitions to report back within 4 weeks. Any more petitions? Distinguished Senator Ayo Akinye-Lure.
Thank you, Mr. President. Distinguished colleagues, my name remains Senator Ayo Akinye-Lure, representing Ondo Central. Mr. President, this is presentation of petition not laid but referred to the Office of the Ethics from the Office of the President of the Senate. Senate Committee on Ethics, Privileges and Public Petitions, in line with Order 41 and 3, wishes to present to the Senate some petition yet to be laid from the office of the President of the Senate in order to officially place the petition in the public domain through the floor of the Senate and for the votes and proceedings to capture the approval for referral. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, find below summary of petition received from the office of the President of the Senate for ease of reference. Number 1, Olawole Ademuritala on behalf of 3 others against the court martial to CEO of Federal Road Safety Corps. Subject matter of the petition, compassionate appeal to reinstate Olawole Ademuritala, 3 others to Federal Road Safety Corps after unlawful dismissal. Number 2, VIA Adukulu on behalf of Geoffrey Nkolo and others against the managing director of Niger Delta Power Holding Company Limited, a passionate appeal to investigate the overdue payment of compensation to my clients, namely Geoffrey Nkolo and family, Joseph Uno and Mr. Peters Odife and others, victims of New Heaven Night Mine Nsuka 132 kVc power line of Ibiti, Umulumbe, Udi, local government area of Enugu State of Nigeria by Niger Delta Power Holding Company Limited. Number 3, Thomas Yahaya Avon on behalf of 11,000 others against the Honorable Minister of Federal Ministry of Agricultural Development. Petition of Thomas Yahaya Avon and 11,000 others over non-payment of entitlement by the Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Development. Number 4, Modupe Oma Ikpadi of Falana and Falanas against the Ministry of Transportation, Nigerian Ports Authority, and Nigeria Maritime Additional Seafood Agency, NIMASA. Non-payment of retirement benefits by the Ministry of Transportation, Nigerian Ports Authority, and Nigerian Maritime and Safety Agency, NIMASA, the request for sudden intervention into the plight of the retired aged dock workers. Finally, Mr. President, B.J. Adebayo of Adebisi Adebayo, an associate on behalf of Mr. Yisa Sunday Ghana, against the management of the Ibadan Electricity Division Company. Petition against the management of Ibadan Electricity Division Company over unjust termination of my appointment or of the appointment of Mr. Yisa Sunday Ghana. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, to the best of my knowledge, none of the above petitioner is seeking judicial remedy. And therefore, Mr. President, to seek the indulgence of the Senate to lay the above petition before the Senate for official referral to the committee for further legislative action. I so move, Mr. President.
Well, since none of the petitioners is seeking any judicial remedy, you may lay the petitions, please. The petitions are referred to the Committee on Ethics, Privileges, and Public Petitions to report back within 4 weeks. Any more petitions? Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, my highly respected and distinguished colleagues, the first business of the day is the presentation of an executive bill standing in my name on the Civil Defense, Correctional, and Federal Fire Immigration Services Board Establishment Bill 2022. Mr. President, you may wish to invite the Clerk of the Senate to read the short title of the bill.
Point of order, Senator Anachi.
Representing the people of Ebonyi South and Ebonyi State. Mr. President, I come under the 41 and 51. If you permit me, I can go ahead and read.
Okay, but what is the issue first? Yeah, what exactly is the issue?
The Super Eagles not qualified. Why is it given for during Nigeria-Ghana match?
The infraction.
Yes.
Okay. No motion. You need the approval of the Senate. You can only give the synopsis. And then I will put the question, because we have to get the endorsement of the Senate before you read the motion.
Of our Super Eagles for the World Cup between Nigeria and Ghana last 2 Saturdays, and other incidences that happened, even the vandalization of the stadium and other things.
Okay, distinguished colleagues, we have listened to the synopsis given by Senator Michael Amaenachi. You may sit down, please. He is asking for our endorsement for him to bring the motion now, and he needs at least 1/5 of us here. So those in leader, let's finish with this, because there's a point of order already on the floor. So those in favor that we give him the opportunity to present his motion now, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Leader, point of order.
Mr. President, my highly respected and distinguished colleagues, with due respect and without prejudice to the decision that has already been taken by this distinguished chamber on this particular matter, and matters of this type that are to come in the future, I think we have to be very careful about the utilization of over 41 and 51, particularly over 41. For the order 41, we have to be very careful in the future. I'm not saying that we should stop this. The Senate has already affirmed and agreed that we should go ahead. But I think for the future, we have to be very careful about the way in which we handle this order 41. Because the matter for discussion under order 41 are issues of national emergencies, issues that touch on the security or welfare of the people of this country. It's not every issue that you bring under this order 41. Otherwise, we will be damaging the letter and spirit of this particular order. I'm just bringing this to our attention so that we will get ourselves on an even keel, so that we do not undermine the issues, the strength, and the veracity of the issues that this particular inclusion of this order in our order paper, in our standing orders, what is supposed to cure. It's not everything that we have that can be brought under this matter. This matter in particular about the loss, already Nigerians have with equanimity, surrendered to the will of God about what had happened. Now, bringing this matter under this particular order, I don't personally feel it's right without any prejudice to the mover of the motion or to the decision that has been taken by the Senate. But I'm just drawing our attention that we should be very careful about the frivolous use of this particular order to act.
Okay, leader, thank you. Thank you for the leader provided an explanation and a guide. It's not everything that we have to bring under our order 41 and 51. We can bring them under 41. They can go the next day, or we'll go through proper motion. So we should take note for the future. Senator Amaenachi.
Thank you, Mr. President. Like I said, my name is Senator Michael Amaenachi from Ebonyi South. Mr. President, a motion on the fair bid of the Super Eagles
But where is the motion? Because the order says you have to distribute it. Where is it? No. Read it. Read it. Read the standing order. Just hold on, please. Just for I want to guide this discussion. I want to guide this discussion. If you go to 41.3, Senator Michael Inachi, you read 41.3, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. 41.3. A senator moving a motion under combined order 41 and 51 shall ensure that copies of the motion are available for all senators when approval to move the motion is granted. Not more than one.
Do we have the copies now? If you don't have, this will be the last time we'll take such a motion without. Because this is our standing order. And if anybody is coming under an order, you should understand the complete provision of the order. So I will plead with our colleagues that we allow him to make the presentation and then we make progress, please. Okay, go ahead. Yes. But not to say that others have been doing it. We don't have to be going the wrong route. This is our new standing order.
Thank you, Mr. President, for the protection given to me this morning.
Don't overstretch your luck. You are not too far away from the opposition still.
On the fair bid of the Super Eagles of Nigeria to qualify for the Federation International, the Football Association FIFA 2022 World Cup qualifier, and the attendant vandalization of facilities and loss of lives at the MKO Abiola National Stadium, Abuja. This bill is sponsored by myself. The Senate notes with utmost dismay the vandalization of valuable facilities and loss of lives caused by the Arab football fans at the MKO Abiola National Stadium, Abuja, on Tuesday, 29 March 2022, following the fair bid by Super Eagles of Nigeria to qualify for the Federation International, the Football Association FIFA World Cup, scheduled to take place by November 2022 in Qatar. Recall that in 2010, FIFA had awarded to Qatar the right to host the FIFA World Cup in 2022, and leading up to the World Cup, qualifying matches are played between countries across the various regions of the world. Recall further that Nigeria's national team, the Super Eagles, failed to qualify for the FIFA 2020 World Cup after losing to Ghana, even though the match ended 1-1 on goals and 1-1 on goals aggregate. The away goal rule applied to guarantee the Black Stars of Ghana the World Cup ticket at this coveted soccer tournament, to the disappointment of Nigerian football fans. Aware that violent reaction by irate football fans reportedly took place in the aftermath of the Nigeria versus Ghana qualifier, leading to destruction of stadium facilities and loss of life, including the unfortunate death of Dr. Joseph Kabungo, a Zambian and FIFA CAF anti-doping medical officer. Observe that the MKO Abiola National Stadium, Abuja, was jam-packed with highly expectant Nigerian football fans throughout the controversial match, and the alleged violent reaction of these fans to the outcome of this match has become a subject of local and international media criticism. Concerned that a lot of valuable facilities at MKO Abiola National Stadium, Abuja, were reportedly destroyed, but the extent of destruction is yet to be determined by the relevant government authorities. There is no gainsaying that The destruction will cost the government of Nigeria several millions of naira to either replace or effect repairs. Further concerned that apart from several unidentified football fans who were injured as a result of this incident, the unfortunate death of Dr. Joseph Kubango, a Zambian and FIFA-CAF anti-doping medical officer, is a huge loss to the global football community, going by glowing tribute paid to the deceased as a result of his immense contributions to the growth of football on the continent of Africa and the world in general. Convinced that there is an urgent need for the Senate to investigate and ascertain the remote and immediate cause of the vandalization, the extent of the damages, and the number of victims who either died or were injured as a result of this ugly incident. Accordingly, results mandate the Committee on Sports to A, investigate the remote and immediate cause of the failure of the Super Eagles to qualify for 2022 World Cup despite the huge fund by government, individuals and corporate bodies. B, investigate the vandalization of facilities at the MKO Abiola National Stadium, Abuja, in the aftermath of the Super Eagles of Nigeria's failed bid to qualify for the FIFA 2022 World Cup bid. C, invite the Nigeria Football Association, NFF, and the Minister of Youth and Sports and relevant agencies and entities directly or indirectly involved with the maintenance of the MKO Abiola National Stadium, Abuja, for the purpose of ascertaining the extent of the vandalization, loss of lives, and generally arriving at a satisfactory finding on the subject matter of this motion. Thank you, Mr. President.
Did I hear you mention loss of life? Was there any loss of life at the stadium? Because I was at the stadium myself that day. Okay, Senator Patrick Abamoro.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I remain Senator Abba Moro, representing the very good people of the Benue South Senatorial District. Mr. President, I rise to second this motion moved by my colleague, Senator Nachi, on the unfortunate failure of Nigeria to qualify for the FIFA World Cup in Qatar. Mr. President, I so second. And Mr. President, with your leave and permission, I will make a few comments. Mr. President, the day of the match was a very, very sad day for the Nigerian people. Pervasive in the stadium and in homes was a sense of frustration and national loss, because the expectation was that Nigeria was going to qualify given the result of the previous encounter. Unfortunately, it was not to be. Mr. President, it is sad that Nigerians vented their anger and frustration on the physical MKO Abiola Stadium and some persons. The person who died, I'm told, I wasn't there, died as a result of cardiac arrest. May his soul rest in peace. But Mr. President, I think there is an urgent need for this Senate, if possible, to intervene to see that our stadia across Nigeria are properly structured and made in such a way that future occurrence of fans invading the pitch or destroying the stadium will be prevented. And of course, for us to urge the Nigerian Football Federation and the Sports Ministry to take urgent steps to make sure that Nigerians, especially our footballers, are properly motivated and committed to the nation. Because, Mr. President, my observation personally was that there was no sense of urgency There was no sense, no aggressive approach to the match that day. But the rest, as they say, is history. I sympathize with myself and Nigerians that expected us to fly the flag in Qatar and hope that tomorrow will be better than that day. Thank you, Mr. President.
We'll go to the prayers, please. Mandate the Committee on Sports to A, investigate the remote and immediate cause of the failure of the Super Eagles to qualify for 2022 World Cup despite the huge fund by government, individuals and corporate bodies. Those in favor of this prayer say aye. Those against say nay. Ayes have it. Prayer 2, investigate the vandalization of facilities at the MKO Abiola National Stadium, Abuja, in the aftermath of the Super Eagles of Nigeria's failed bid to qualify for the FIFA 2022 World Cup bid. Those in favor of prayer 1B, say aye. Those against say nay. Prayer 1C, invite the Nigeria Football Federation, NFF, and the Minister of Youth and Sports or relevant agencies and entities directly or indirectly involved with the maintenance of the MKO Abiola National Stadium, Abuja, for the purpose of ascertaining the extent of the vandalization, loss of lives, and generally arriving at a satisfactory finding on the subject matter of this motion. I have a problem with this. One, I was in that stadium, there was no loss of lives. No loss of life, so let's not put it into this kind of this thing. Yes, you are raising your hand, Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, Obi Norma, Ebonyi Central. Your Excellency, as a matter of fact, there's a loss of life that day in the stadium, but it was not man-made. When the crisis erupted, the doctor was running, so he fell down. They went and to bring him up. All efforts made to revive him failed. When the doctors came from Zambia and Nigerian doctors, after examination, nobody touched him. I discovered that he has been having heart issues. He has been since, vacated back to Zambia, but it happened that day. Thank you.
You see, the impression created here is, as a result of the violence, some people were killed. And that is to give ourselves a bad name, because we shouldn't characterize our stadium like that. Yeah, I was there.
Because we will say something that FIFA, because the man was working for FIFA. He came for the man. He's in charge of checking the players who took drug or anything at all. So he's there. And there's no way we can say he did not die at the stadium. He died there, but he died out of natural death. Thank you.
Because the way it is loss of lives. That's what is reflected here. Okay. So those in favor of prayer 1C, say aye. They have not amended it.
Only one medical doctor.
You see, for me, you don't even need to mention the death of this man, because the death has no connection with the violence that happened. Okay, we can move it. No, you propose a removal. Then we get somebody to second it. Okay. Yeah, Deputy Leader.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I rise to support that prayers should be removed. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Those in favor of prayer 1C as amended, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, my highly respected and distinguished colleagues, the fifth business of the day is the presentation of a bill standing in the name of distinguished Senator Michael. A bill standing in my name on the Civil Defense Correctional Federal Fire Immigration Services Board Establishment Bill 2022. Mr. President, you may wish to invite the Clerk of the Senate to read the short title of the bill.
Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, Civil Defense Correctional Federal Fire and Immigration Services Board Establishment Bill 2022. SB 967, first reading.
Civil Defense Correctional Federal Fire and Immigration Services Board Establishment Bill 2022, SB 967, first reading taken. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, my highly respected and distinguished colleagues, the second business of the day is the presentation of a bill standing in the name of distinguished Senator Francis Adenigba Kwadahosi on the Federal University of Education, Elisha, Osun State Establishment Bill 2022. Mr. President, you may wish to invite the Clerk of the Senate to read the short title of the bill.
Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, Federal University of Education, Elisha, Osun State Establishment Bill 2022, SB 978, first reading.
Federal University of Education, Elisha, Osun State Establishment Bill 2022, SB 978, first reading taken. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, my highly respected and distinguished colleagues, the third business of the day is the presentation of a bill standing in the name of distinguished Senator Degi Eremienyo Buyeo Barakuma on the National Institute for Information and Communication Technology Ogbolo Mamabiri Bayelsa State Establishment Bill 2022. Mr. President, you may wish to invite the Clerk of the Senate to read the short title of the bill.
Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, National Institute of Information and Communication Technology, Ogbolo Bayelsa State Establishment Bill 2022, SB 979, first reading.
National Institute of Information and Communication Technology, Ogbolo Bayelsa State Establishment Bill 2022, SB 979, first reading taken. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, my highly respected and distinguished colleagues, the fourth business of the day is the presentation of a bill standing in the name of distinguished Senator Oji Uzo Kalu, the Kibi and Kabi, on the Federal Polytechnic Act Amendment Bill 2022. Mr. President, you may wish to invite the Clerk of the Senate to read the short title of the bill.
Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, Federal Polytechnic Act Amendment Bill 2022, SB 980, first reading.
Federal Polytechnic Act Amendment Bill 2022, SB 980, first reading taken. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, my highly respected and distinguished colleagues, the fifth business of the day is the presentation of a bill standing in the name of distinguished Senator Michael Opeyemi Bamidele on the Electronic Deeds Registration Systems Bill 2022. Mr. President, you may wish to invite the Clerk of the Senate to read the short title of the bill.
Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, Electronic Deeds Registration Systems Bill 2022, SB 981, first reading.
Electronic Deeds Registration Systems Bill 2022, SB 981, first reading taken. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, my highly respected and distinguished colleagues, the first order of the day is the second reading of the Federal Colleges of Education Act Amendment Bill 2022. Distinguished senators will recall that the bill was read the first time in this great chamber on Tuesday, 5th April 2022. Mr. President, you may wish to invite distinguished Senator Kalu Uzo Kalu, the Kibi and Kabi, to move the motion for the bill to be read the second.
Distinguished Senator Kalu, Oji Uzo Kalu, Kibi and Kabi.
Thank you, Mr. President, my distinguished colleagues. It is with great honor and pleasure that I present the lead debate on this important bill. I wish to thank you all for accelerated hearing granted to this bill to be read a second time. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, this bill was read the first time in this hallowed chambers on the 5th April, and the objective of the bill is simple. This bill seeks to amend the Federal Colleges of Education Act Cap F8 laws of the Federation of Nigeria 2004, so that enable the establishment of Federal College of Education Technical Abia State by converting the existing Abia State College of Education Technical to Federal Government College Technical Aruchukwu. Mr. President, I wish to state there were previous attempts in the 7th and the 8th assemblies to upgrade the existing facility at the Abia State College of Education Technical Aruchukwu to become tertiary institution. Owing to the absence of this bill at this period of this time, this objective was not achieved. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, our task today is very simple, but leaves a lasting legacy. The bill technically consists of 3 clauses. 1, amendment of Federal Government College of Education Cap F8 142 Laws of Federation of Nigeria 204. 2, amendment of this first schedule to the Principal Act. 3, citation. These clauses fill the legislative lacuna that had hindered the previous attempt to upgrade the Abia State College of Education into Federal College of Education Technical. We will be passing this bill for further legislative processes from these dreams and aspirations, not just the good of Abia people, but all Nigerians, to have access to good federal tertiary institutions. We desire to have this bill passed into law. Education is highly valued and considered as a social service. We know that it's a tool for change, growth, and as a steering engine for national consciousness and development. Therefore, no nation or society can strive to function effectively in absence of education without proper collaboration with education and information to produce skills, knowledge, competencies, and as well enhance development of human potential to promote technology. To this end, I therefore urge Mr. President and my distinguished colleagues to support the Federal Colleges of Education Act Amendment Bill 2021. Thank you, Mr. President, for giving me this opportunity.
Deputy Senate Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President and my distinguished colleagues, let me first of all commend my brother, Kibian Kebi, for moving this big bill. Distinguished colleagues, the present College of Education Technical provides limited access for those who have technical tendencies. And by expanding the scope to General College of Education, removes that restriction and allows people with different tendencies to have access to this education. And we know that at now, education is very, very important at that level, secondary school education. I don't need to repeat the benefits of upgrading this institution to a General College of Education, because the sponsor of this bill has already enunciated it in his presentation. Distinguished colleagues, I am approaching this from 2 perspectives. The first perspective is what I've said about, that is by providing unrestricted access to all people with different tendencies. And very soon, I think there's a bill coming on Secondary School Education Commission, which will have regulatory function on secondary school education. If you look at it, that's where the lacuna is. For the university, we have National University Commission. For the College of Education, we have a commission. For technical education, we have a commission. Even for the GSS 1 to GSS 3, we have UBEC. So there's a lacuna, which is secondary school education. And once this commission is established, it's going to regulate the secondary school education system. And one of the things that is likely to come up is that uncertificated teachers may not be allowed to teach in secondary schools. And the only way to raise the pool, to increase the pool of certificated teachers is by creating more colleges of education. And I think there's merit in expanding the scope of this institution from the technical education, college of education, to a general college of education. I therefore support this bill, and I want to recommend it to my colleagues for support for second reading. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues. I remain Muhammad Adamaleru. Mr. President, I rise to second the second reading of this bill for two reasons. Number one, access to education is what this hallowed chamber should be in the forefront in promoting, particularly technical education, because emphasis should now be on technical education instead of general education, even though the two can go simultaneously. But the world today is going on technical education. And for that reason, this bill is very timely, and I therefore support the second reading of it. My second reason of supporting this bill, Mr. President, is that it has no financial implication. Unlike most of the bills seeking to establish educational institutions, they have a lot of costs. This one, the institution is already in existence. What the sponsor of this bill is asking us to do is to upgrade it, to upgrade the institution. And the facilities are already there. The teachers are already on the payroll. The structures are there. Perhaps maybe as time goes on, there will be need for additional structures that will be added. That is the only time when additional costs are required. So this is a very straightforward bill, and I think nobody will be opposed to the second passage of this bill. So I urge my colleagues to support it, since it has no serious financial implication. Thank you, Mr. President.
Those in favor that this will be now read a second time, say aye. Those against say nay. There is a flag of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, a bill for an act to amend the Federal Colleges of Education Act, Cap F8, Laws of the Federation of Nigeria 2004, to establish the Federal College of Education, Arochukwu, Abia State, by converting the existing College of Education Technical, Arochukwu, to the Federal College of Education and for related matters, 2022, second reading.
A bill for an act to amend the Federal College of Education Act, Cap F8, Laws of the Federation of Nigeria 2004, to establish Federal College of Education, Arochukwu, Abia State, by converting the existing College of Education Technical, Arochukwu, to the Federal College of Education and for related matters 2022, second reading taken. And the bill is referred to the Committee on Tertiary Institutions and third fund to report back within 4 weeks. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, my highly respected and distinguished colleagues, the second order of the day is the second reading of the National Religious Harmony Commission Establishment Bill 2022. Distinguished senators will recall that the bill was read the first time in this great chamber on Tuesday, 13th October 2020. Mr. President, you may wish to invite distinguished Senator Suleiman Sadiq Umar to move the motion for the bill to be read the second time.
Distinguished Senator Suleiman Sadiq Omar, Kwara North.
Thank you, Mr. President. My distinguished colleagues, I am Sadiq Suleiman Umar. I represent the good and decent people of Kwara North, and we all are. Mr. President, permit me to lead the debate on the general principles of a bill for an act to provide for the establishment of National Religious Harmony Commission to, among other things, ensure that every person and religious organization in this act enjoys equal treatment and opportunity without discrimination, and to prohibit all forms of religious victimization, harassment, violence, and hate speeches. The bill was read for the first time in this chamber on Tuesday, 13th October 2020. Essentially, the bill seeks to provide for an act to provide for the establishment of National Religious Harmony Commission in Nigeria to serve as an intervention program to promote religious tolerance, peace, and harmony in Nigeria. Considering that the United Nations Charter and several provisions of the Constitution of Federal Republic of Nigeria 1999, as amended, are based on the principles of dignity and equality of human beings, and seek, among other basic objectives, the promotion and respect for human rights and fundamental freedoms for all without distinction as to race, sex, language, or religion. Having realized the sensitive role of religion in national security, peace, and harmony, the federal government wishes to promote interreligious harmony and understanding due to the checkered history of religious intolerance in Nigerian polity. The bill seeks to create an enabling environment for the peaceful coexistence of all adherents of different religious beliefs within the Nigerian nation, and as well provide for a forum for public enlightenment and dialogue on to limit controversy and confrontation over allegations of discriminations based on religious beliefs and identities, to check insidious effects of religious bigotry, profiling, stereotyping, violence, discrimination, extremism, and hate speeches. Objective of the bill. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, the objectives and functions of this commission, which the bill seeks to address, are, among others, to deal with all matters relating to the protection of fundamental human rights, to freedom of religion and belief as guaranteed by the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, the African Charter on Human and People's Rights, the United Nations Charter and Universal Declaration on Human Rights, and other international treaties and instruments on human rights to which Nigeria is a signatory and has been ratified. To monitor, investigate, and prosecute all cases of religious discrimination, victimization, and harassment, and take such actions as may deem expedient in each circumstances. Assist victims of religious discrimination or violation and seek appropriate redress and remedies on their behalf. Undertake studies on all matters related to religious rights and practices, and assist the federal government in the formulation of appropriate policies on the guarantee of right to freedom from religious discrimination and victimization. Monitor and investigate all cases of religious extremism, hate speeches, and utterances meant to incite religious violence, and prosecute persons responsible for such hate speeches. Detect early warning signs of speeches or acts that can trigger religious tension, and take appropriate measures to curtail such. Review the safeguards provided by or under the Constitution or any law for the time being enforced for the protection of religious rights, and recommend measures for their effective implementation and enforcement. Review the factors including acts of bigotry, stereotyping, religious profiling, terrorism, violence, discrimination, and religious extremism that inhibit the enjoyment of free exercise of religious rights, and recommend appropriate remedies and measures. Publish regular reports on the state of religious rights protection and promotion in Nigeria. Create awareness and promote advocacy through seminars, workshops, and conferences on religious harmony and interfaith peaceful coexistence and other programs. Participate in all international activities relating to the promotion and protection of human rights, especially as it relates to freedoms of religious beliefs and expressions. Maintain a library, collect data, and disseminate information and materials on interreligious harmony and coexistence. Promote interreligious education at all levels of educational institutions. Mr. President, the establishment of the Religious Harmony Commission cannot come at a better time than now, when our beloved nation is battling with one religious and social crisis or the other. I implore you all to, in good conscience, appreciate the gravity of the situation and consider this bill for the good of humanity and our future generation. In line with Order 76.3 of our standing orders, the financial compendium for the establishment of this commission is hereby attached. I pray for an expedited consideration and thank you for your kind attention. Thank you very much.
Senator Kabir Barkia.
Thank you, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues. I am Senator Engineer Kabir Barkia, representing Kathir Central. Mr. President, let me commend the presenter of this bill because it's a very, very important bill that we should consider. Of course, everybody knows, whether you're a Muslim or a Christian or whatever, that yes, God created us to worship Him. That's the first thing we should know. Of course, which everybody knows. But unfortunately, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, not only even to call for permission, we are supposed even to have a Ministry of Religious Affairs that will monitor all the, religious affairs in this country. Because if you see all these problems we have of this banditry, Boko Haram, is of course because we are not following the teachings of the religion. Whether you are a Muslim or a Christian, once you follow the teachings of the religion, definitely we know we will have peace and harmony. So it's very important. We're supposed to even put the religion first in all our activities. But this is not what is happening, Mr. President. So I think I'm calling on our colleagues to look at this very important bill. Not only even to say we establish permission, but Ministry of Religious Affairs, because of the importance of the religion. Well, once we put religion first, we will see that all of our affairs definitely will find it peaceful. Therefore, I'm calling on our colleagues to make sure that, yes, we support the passage of this bill. Thank you very much.
Senator Brown,
Thank you, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues. My name is Ibrahim Yaya Oloriegbe. I represent Para Central Senatorial District. Mr. President, I rise to support this bill. Yes, religion ordinarily should be a personal affair of individual citizens. However, our history and our current situation reveal that as a country, we are a multi-religious society. And religion is part of those social issues that not only concern individuals, the way it is practiced in this country, but must concern us as a nation, given the various experiences we have. And it has caused some conflict among communities, among citizens. Therefore, it is essential and necessary for us as lawmakers who are charged by constitutions to make law for good governance, welfare, and peace of this country, to look at issues such as this and come up with an appropriate mechanism such as being proposed in this bill that will ensure that we have harmony, we have peace among citizens, and citizens are able to express and practice their belief as they so desire, and we are able to prevent conflict. I therefore support that the bill be read for the second time and processed and passed for the betterment and peace of this country. I so support this statement.
Those in favor that this will be now read a second time, say aye. Those against, say nay. That's a flag of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, a bill for an act to provide for the establishment of the National Religious Harmony Commission and for other matters connected to 2022 second reading.
A bill for an act to provide for the establishment of the National Religious Harmony Commission and for other matters connected thereto, 2022, second reading taken, and the bill is referred to the Committee on Establishment and Public Service Matters for further legislative action to report back within 4 weeks. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, my highly respected and distinguished colleagues, the third order of the day is the presentation and consideration of the report of the Committee on Health, Secondary and Tertiary on the fake COVID-19 test results being used to defraud Nigerians in Ghana and the obtainment of fake COVID-19 vaccine cards. Mr. President, you may wish to invite the distinguished Senator Ibrahim Yahaya Oloregbe, Chairman of the Committee, to move the motion for the Senate to receive and consider this report.
Senator Dr. Ibrahim Yahaya Oloregbe, you may present the two reports, right?
The other report is the fourth order of the day, which is the presentation and consideration of the report of the Committee on Health, Secondary and Tertiary on the Federal Eye Center Ochendamu Kogi State Establishment Bill 2022. The bill was referred to the committee on Wednesday, 6 October 2021. Mr. President, you may also invite the Ibrahim Yahaya Oloregbe to present the motion for presentation of this report together with the earlier one that I read. I so submit.
Chairman, you may present the two reports, one after the other.
Thank you, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues. I rise to move that the Senate do receive and consider the report of the Committee on Health, Secondary and Tertiary on the motion of fake COVID-19 test results being used to defraud Nigerians in Ghana and the obtainment of fake COVID-19 vaccination card, as well as the report of the Committee on the Federal Eye Center, Ochadam Kogi State Establishment Bill 2022. I so move, Mr. President.
I need a seconder. Senator Sadiq Suleiman Umar.
Thank you, Mr. President. I am Sadiq Suleiman Umar. I rise to second the motion that the Senate do receive and consider the two reports of Committee on Health, Secondary and Tertiary. I so second, Mr. President.
Distinguished colleagues, those in favor of the motion that the Senate do receive and consider the reports of the Committee on Health on the fake COVID-19 test results being used to defraud Nigerians in Ghana and the obtainment of fake COVID-19 vaccination cards, and the Federal Eye Center Ochadam Kogi State Establishment Bill 2022. Say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Chairman, you may lay the reports, please. Chairman, you may give us a bridge version of that. You don't have to read everything since we have the report.
Thank you, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues. I'm reading the first report, which is on the COVID-19 test and vaccination card. The Senate, at its sitting on the 28th September 2022, debated a motion sponsored by my humble self on the urgent need to conduct investigation of the allegation of fake COVID-19 test results being used to defraud Nigerians in Ghana and obtain fake COVID-19 vaccination card, and mandated the joint committees on health, secondary and tertiary, primary care, communicable disease, and foreign affairs to conduct detailed investigation on the two allegations and report to the Senate. The methodology and the background information are as presented. I'll go straight to the findings. From the statement from the chairman of the Presidential Steering Committee of COVID-19, that's Mr. Boss Mustafa, the committee found as follows. So far, Nigeria has recorded a total of 254,657 cases and 3,104 deaths from COVID-19. A total of 4,117,940 tests have been done since March 2020, as at the time this investigation or the public hearing was held. The case fatality has been an average of 1.2%. Currently, there are about 2,300 active cases as at that time, and a recovery of over 95% has been achieved. The fourth wave of the disease, which became manifest in the first week of December 2021, with about 50 cases per day, rose rapidly to peak towards the last week of December to a plateau of 2,700 cases per day, and rapidly dropped to less than 50 cases per day. About 93 health facilities are currently available as isolation and treatment facilities in the country. Oxygen is available and is at its optimal throughout the fourth wave. But the key important thing are the testing on arrival at Nigeria airport. The PSC approved COVID-19 testing for passenger arrival in Nigeria. When this is instituted, the 48-hour pre-departure PCR testing will be continued. As at the time we conducted the public hearing, this had not started, but it started just this week on Monday. So we are putting it on the report because as at the time we are conducting the public hearing, they have already planned that they will introduce a new protocol, which has been done. Now, the key issue again is number 5, which is linking travel portal with airline database. The Nigeria Center for Disease Control Verification Portal, which hosts all validated PCR tests for outbound passengers, will be made visible to the airline so that verification can be done by the airline staff. We also asked about that's number 6, electronic verification of COVID-19 vaccination card. The Presidential Steering Committee noted the problems associated with the current vaccination card, as some fail to verify or show incorrect data. In addition, there are claims of fake vaccination cards being issued around the country. The PSC will take up these issues and ensure that the relevant agencies develop security measures to ensure the security and authenticity of vaccination cards issued to residents. We also made inquiry on the current safety protocol, and the response of the PSC was that with the warning of the fourth wave of the pandemic in Nigeria and the global reduction in the number of cases and rising number of people vaccinated in the world, the PSC is set to review the global risk of importation of cases, the emergence of new variants, and the recent advances in treatment and vaccine availability to guide the development of new safety and social measures. So I think I will leave all the other ones and go straight to our recommendation, Mr. Chairman, Mr. President. From the oral statement and memorandum collected from stakeholders, the committee recommends as follows. 1, that the Federal Ministry of Health and the Presidential Steering Committee should develop an exit protocol for all outbound passengers where the authentication of the vaccination cards and PCR results certificate are conducted at the airport. This is to avoid any possibility of using fake certificate or fake card. 2, that the Federal Ministry of Health, through its port health services, should keep records of all fake COVID-19 test results detected pre-departure and arrival of passengers and report same to relevant security agencies for prosecution. This follows number 1. Once number 1 is done, it is easy to detect any fake presentation of results or vaccine cards, and the issue of prosecution will come up. Number 3, that the Federal Ministry of Health, through its Port Health Services Department, should link PCR result platform with the airline platforms to ensure effective coordination and detection of any fake PCR test results being used. And 4, that the Federal Ministry of Foreign Affairs should liaise with the Ghanaian government to strengthen bilateral relations that will prevent a recurrence of any illegal treatment of Nigerians entering Ghana. And 6, that the Presidential Steering Committee should consider the reduction of cost of PCR testing for those who still require it for travel purposes, given the current epidemiology and the current number of people. Number 6, that the PSC should continuously update its travel protocols and advisory as the epidemiology of the disease changes, and also promptly brief Nigerians on these changes. The Joint Committee wishes to thank the Senate President, the Senate leadership, and distinguished colleagues for the opportunity to undertake this assignment. I so submit, Mr. President. Can I take the second report, sir, so that, but this one will be considered. That one will be very short. Mr. President, I'm going ahead to present the second report. The second report is on a bill for an act to establish the Federal Eye Center, Ochadam, to take over staff, assets, and liabilities of the Holy Memorial Hospital, Ochadam, Kogi State, for the prevention and cure of eye defects and diseases, and to establish a board to cover the center, academic affairs, and parental matters. The bill was referred to the committee after a second reading on the 6th of October 2021. The bill was sponsored by Senator Lisa Jibril, and as I said, it seeks to upgrade Holy Memorial Hospital Ochadam to the Federal Eye Center. Mr. President, I will move to our recommendation. The recommendations are as contained in the report. After a clause-by-clause consideration of the bill, which has 24 clauses, one schedule, and explanatory memorandum, the committee recommends that the following clauses be amended. That's 1, 3, 4 to 10, 14, 17 to 19, 21, 22, and 24. And retain clauses 2, 11, 13, 15, 16, 20, and 22. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, the committee urges us to give this bill the accelerated passage deserved. I so submit, Mr. President.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Well, we have to deal with these two reports in two different ways. One, the first one, on the fake COVID-19 test results. We'll take the recommendations from here in plenary. So we have 6 recommendations on page 6 of the report. Those in favor of recommendation 1, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. The recommendations are on page 6 of the report, the first report. Those in favor of recommendation 2, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Those in favor of recommendation 3, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Those in favor of recommendation 4, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Those in favor of recommendation 5, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Those in favor of recommendation 6, and that's the last recommendation, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Leader of the Senate, the other one we have to go into committee of the whole. So committee of the whole.
Mr. President, my highly respected and distinguished colleagues, I rise to move that this distinguished Senate resolve into the committee of the whole to consider the report of the Committee on Health and Tertiary Institutions on the Federal Eye Center or Chendamu, Kogi State, Establishment Bill 2022.
Minority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. I rise to second the motion that the Senate do resolve to the Committee of the Whole to consider this report. Thank you.
Distinguished colleagues, those in favor of the motion that the Senate is also to Committee of the Whole to consider the report, the second report, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. This bill has 24 clauses. Federal Eye Center or Ochadam, Kogi State. Those in favor of clauses 1, 2, 3, and 4 stand part of the bill, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Clause 5 is on page 5. Tenure of office of the chairman and members of the board. Those in favor of clause 5, clause 6, general duty of the board, clause 7, clause 8, clause 9, and clause 10 on page 9. Stand part of the bill, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Those who are at clause 11 on page 10, functions of the Education Committee, clause 12, clause 13, clause 14, and clause 15, stand part of the bill, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Those who are at clause 16, power to accept gifts, on page 11, clause 17, clause 18, on page 14, clause 19, and clause 20, stand part of the bill, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Those who are at clause 21, annual reports, and clause 22, transitional and savings provision, stand part of the bill, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Those in favor of the interpretation on page 20, stands part of the bill, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Those in favor of the short title, stands part of the bill, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Those in favor of the schedule, stands part of the bill, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Those who are at the explanatory memorandum on page 24, stands part of the bill, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Those who are at the long title on page 1, stands part of the bill, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, I rise to move that the chair reports progress. I so move.
Thank you, Mr. President. I so second.
Distinguished colleagues, those in favor that the Senate reverse the plenary for the chair to report progress, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. The Senate and the Committee of the Whole considered the report of the Committee on Health on the Federal Eye Center, Ochadam, Kogi State, Establishment Bill 2022, and approved as follows. Long title as recommended, clause 1 to 22 as recommended, interpretation as recommended, short title as recommended, schedule as recommended, explanatory memorandum as recommended. Is this a true reflection of what transpired in the Committee of the Whole? Thank you. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, I rise to move that this bill be read the third time.
Minority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. I rise to second the motion that this bill be read the third time.
Distinguished colleagues, those in favor of the motion that this bill be now read the third time, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, a bill for an act to establish the Federal Eye Center of Chadamu to take over staff, assets and liabilities of the Holy Memorial Hospital of Chadamu, Kogi State, for the prevention and care of eye defects and diseases, to establish a board to govern the center, an academic committee to take charge of the center's academic affairs, and for related matters 2022, third reading.
A bill for an act to establish the Federal Eye Center of Chadamu to take over staff, assets and liabilities of the Holy Memorial Hospital of Chadamu, Kogi State, for the prevention and cure of eye defects and diseases, to establish a board to govern the center, and an academic committee to take charge of the center's academic affairs, and for related matters 2022, third reading taken, and the bill is passed. Congratulations. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, my highly respected and distinguished colleagues, the fifth order of the day is the presentation and consideration of the report of the Committee on Tertiary Institutions and Tech Fund on the Federal University of Transport, Daura, Establishment Bill 2022. Distinguished senators will recall that the bill was referred to the committee on Wednesday, 9 February 2022. Mr. President, we wish to invite distinguished Senator Ahmed Babaketa, chairman of the committee to move the motion for the presentation and consideration of the report.
Distinguished Senator Aman Babakaita, Katsina North.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm Senator Ahmad Babakaita, representing Katsina North Senatorial Zone. I rise to move the Senate do receive and consider the report of the Senate Committee on Tertiary Institution and Trade Fund on a bill for an act to provide for the establishment of the Federal University of Transportation, Daura, Katsina State, and for other matters connected therewith. Establishment, etc. Bill 2022 SB 799. I so move.
Distinguished Senator Ibrahim Hadeja.
Thank you, Mr. President. Ibrahim Hadeja, the Governor Northeast. I rise to second the report of the Senate Committee on Treasury Institutions and Trade Fund on a bill for an act to provide for the establishment of the Federal University of Transportation in Daura, Katsina State, and for other matters connected therewith. Establishment, etc. Bill 2022 SB 799. I so second, Mr. President.
Distinguished colleagues, those in favor of the motion that the Senate do receive and consider the report of the Committee on Tertiary Institutions and Trade Fund on the Federal University of Transport Daura Establishment Bill 2022 SB 799 say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Chairman, you may lay the report, please. Chief Whip. Chairman, you may present the report, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. Distinguished colleagues. I am Senator Ahmed Babakaita, representing Katsina North.
Chairman, that is maybe a paper or is touching something.
Radiation.
My apologies, Mr. President. Thank you once more. I think for want of time, I will just go straight to the observation of this public hearing. From the views expressed by the stakeholders at the public hearing and subsequent analysis of both oral and written presentations, the committee hereby make the following observation: that the emphasized University of Transportation has immense benefits, especially including the huge gap of knowledge about transportation, businesses, and provide pedestal for enhancing technical skill while ensuring technology transfer from the most developed nations such as China, USA, South Korea, etc. to benefit Nigerian transportation sector. The establishment of the University of Transportation Daura in Katsina State is timely, with the greater leverage of providing technical know-how through foreign technical partners with enormous potential of augmenting government effort, in addition to employment generation, thereby resolving critical issues of youth employment. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, the establishment of the University of Transportation Daura in Katsina State would help provide manpower needs of the Nigerian transportation industry and the Nigerian Railway in particular for greater benefits, while adding value to the transportation system in the country through cheaper means of transportation of people, goods, and services, thereby ease inflation occasioned by rising costs of transportation, while lifting the most communities and small towns, villages, and hamlets from the jinx of poverty, and it serves as another means of wealth creation to boost the nation's GDP. Establishing Federal University Transportation Daura in Katsina State will go a long way in calibrating the spread of educational and infrastructural needs of the Nigerian people, while balancing access to education among diverse demographics in the country and thereby closing off the gap in knowledge in transportation, logistics, and engineering. The committee observed the envisaged university is a specialized one and upon completion it will be the first of its kind in the whole of West African sub-region, with the potentials of wooing African and foreign investors who wish to invest and acquire advanced knowledge in research and exploration of scientific skill innovation in transportation sector. Our recommendation: the Senate Committee on Tertiary Institution and TED Fund, to which this bill was referred to, having carefully considered same, thereby recommend as follows: that the Senate do consider and pass the bill for an act to provide for the establishment of Federal University of Transportation, Daura, Katsina State, and for other matters connected therewith. Establishment EPC Bill 2022 SB 799 as recommended. In conclusion, I would like to use the opportunity to thank Mr. President of the Senate and distinguished colleagues for the opportunity to serve in this capacity and to humbly request that the Senate do pass this bill. I so move. Any derivation at your own risk.
Leader of the Senate, Committee of the Whole.
Mr. President, I have the Senate distinguished colleagues, I rise to move that this Senate resolves in the Committee of the Whole to consider this report. I so move.
Minority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. I rise to second the motion that the Senate do resolve to the Committee of the Whole to consider this report. I so second. Thank you.
Distinguished colleagues, those in favor of the motion that this Senate resolves into Committee of the Whole to consider the report clause by clause, say aye. Those against any, the ayes have it. Distinguished colleagues, we start from page 1 of the bill, and there are 35 clauses. Those in favor that clause 1, clause 2, clause 3, clause 4, clause 5, and clause 6 on page 7 stand part of the bill, say aye. Those against any, the ayes have it. Clause 7, functions of the council on page 7. Those who are at clause 7, clause 8, functions of the Senate, clause 9, clause 10, clause 11, clause 12, clause 13, and clause 14 on page 15 stand part of the bill, say aye. Those against any, the ayes have it. Those who are at clause 15 on page 16, clause 16, clause 17, clause 18, clause 19, and clause 20 stand part of the bill, say aye. Those against any, the ayes have it. Yes.
I was trying to raise my hand in respect of clause 6. I was trying to raise my hand in respect of clause 6. In respect of clause 6, I was trying to raise my hand, sir. Clause 6, sir. Composition of the Council of the University. It says, D.
9 persons representing a variety of interests and broadly representative of the whole federation to be appointed by the president. I want you to read 9 persons representing a variety of interests and broadly representative of the whole federation, including a representative of the Federal Ministry of Transport. It's a transportation university. There should be a representative of the Federal Ministry of Transport. Sir, to make
Thank you, Mr. President. I rise to second the amendment as moved by Senator Barrow Jibrin. I so second. Clause 6D.
Later, I have to rule first because there's already. No, you cancel. We kill it then because at this point I have to rule. So we vote against it because there's a motion.
Rephrase it. Sir? Okay, let me withdraw it and then rephrase it, sir. No, what he's saying, sir. No, what he's saying, sir. Instead of 9 persons, it should be 4 persons. But if, one of them should be a representative of Federal Ministry of Transport. So we're on the same page. So I withdraw the first one and I want to amend my first motion. So I move, sir, that 1 person from the 4 persons representing a variety of interests and broadly representative of the whole federation, including a representative of Federal Ministry of Transport, be appointed by the president. I so move.
The motion itself is defective in that if you look at the section that the committee approved, or you look at D, A, D on the first column of the bill, you will find that there is already a person in the Ministry of Transport, 1 person from the ministry responsible for education, then 4 persons representing a variety of interests and broad representative of the whole federation. I agree with, including the Ministry of Transportation, because he is not provided here. I agree with him. It's amended. Yes, sir.
But by way of troubleshooting, can we liberalize it to say, including a person, a representative from the ministry in charge of transportation, instead of saying Minister of Transportation, because it could be cancelled one day. So we amended like that. So the distinguished colleagues will go back to clause 6 on page 7. Those in favor that clause 6 as amended stand part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay, the ayes have it. We are already on page, no, not 7. We are on 22. That is, we have taken from 17, clause let's take from clause 17 on page 17 up to 21. Those who heard at clause 17, the visitor, clause 18, clause 19, clause 20, and clause 21, discipline of students on page 22. Stand part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay, the ayes have it. Those in favor that clause 22, retiring age of academic staff, Clause 23, Clause 24, Clause 25, Clause 26, Clause 27, Clause 28, Clause 29, and Clause 30, miscellaneous administrative provisions, stand part of the bill. Say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Chairman, you have an observation? Okay. What is the observation? On page I don't have page 29. Huh? Yeah, I don't have page 29, but I imagine that is where 28, page 31 will be, because page 30, Clause 30 is on page 28. Who has 29? I don't have. Okay. I've gotten one copy with page 29. Those who are Clause 31, proposal and recommendation. Clause 32 and Clause 33 stand part of the bill. Say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Excuse me, take care. Those in favor that the interpretation stands part of the bill, say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Those who are the short title on page 32 stands part of the bill, say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Those who are the schedules 1, 2, and 3 stand part of the bill, say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Those who are the explanatory memorandum stands part of the bill, say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Those who are the long title on page 1 stands part of the bill, say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, I rise to move that the Senate resumes plenary to enable the chair to report progress. I so move.
Minority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. I so second.
No, what I'm saying is that I have not seen the funding, sources of funding. Yeah, but within this there should be, no funding.
This is not second reading. It's the second reading that you need a compendium. We are past that stage. So if it is the issue of compendium, yes.
Sir, normally in an act like this, you find, a specific provision on how the school will be funded in terms of its day running. But here it's not here. We are just doing this to help the university. Sometimes, it will be clearly stated that it will be the funding for the operational university.
Do you mean we are supposed to have a clause where the expenditure will be indicated? That's not. No, but if you are saying funding, it means there is supposed to be a clause with funding, and that's not. It's in the second reading that you are supposed to provide, which we have done. Yes.
The compendium of all the expenses have been fully discussed in the second reading. However, I want to bring to the notice of this chamber that this was a corporate social responsibility by CCEC that is handling the rail line, which decided to locate the university and sponsor about 200 Nigerians to China. The Nigerians are already in China and the school has already been established. The foundation laying ceremony was done by Mr. President and work is in progress. So I don't know why we are trying to make an issue where there is none. Thank you. That is in the second reading. It's in the second.
Distinguished colleagues, I don't think we are supposed to waste time on this. Because when you are asking about compendium, it's in the second reading, not at this stage. You don't have a clause where there will be fund provided. So we are past that stage. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, I rise to move that this Senate resumes plenary for the chair to report progress. I so move.
Thank you, Mr. President. I rise to second the motion that the Senate do revert to plenary for the chair to report progress. I so second.
Thank you very much. The Supreme colleagues, those in favor of the motion that the Senate reverts to plenary for the chair to report progress, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Senator Keita, you may see Barrow thereafter. He may provide money for you if you don't have enough. The Senate and the Committee of the Whole considered the report of the Committee on Tertiary Institutions and TED Fund on the Federal University of Transport Daura Establishment Bill 2022 and approved as follows. Long title as recommended, Clause 1 to 5 as recommended, Clause 6 as amended, Clause 7 to 33 as recommended, Interpretation as recommended, Short title as recommended, Schedules 1, 2, and 3 as recommended, Explanatory Memorandum as recommended. Is this a true reflection of what transpired in the Committee of the Whole? Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, I rise to move that this bill be read the third time. I so move.
Minority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. I rise to second that this bill be read the third time. I so second.
Distinguished colleagues, those in favor of the motion that this bill be now read the third time, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, a bill for an act to establish the Federal University of Transportation Daura and other related matters 2022, third reading.
A bill for an act to establish the Federal University of Transportation Daura and other related matters 2022, third reading taken, and the bill is passed. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, my highly respected and distinguished colleagues, the sixth order of the day is the presentation and consideration of the report of the Joint Committee on Trade and Investment and Judiciary, Human Rights and Legal Matters on the Copyright Act Cap C-28 Laws of the Federation of Nigeria 2004 Repeal and Reenactment Bill 2022. Distinguished senators will recall that the bill was referred to the committee on Tuesday, 28 September 2021. Mr. President, we are going to invite distinguished Senator Opeyemi Bamidele, who jointly worked with distinguished Senator Said Ahmed Al-Kali to move the motion for the presentation and consideration of the report.
Distinguished Senator Michael Opeyemi Bamidele, Ekiti Central.
Thank you, Mr. President. Michael Opeyemi Bamidele, representing the Central Senatorial District. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I stand to move
that the Senate do receive and consider the report of the Joint Committee on Trade and Investment and Judiciary, Human Rights and Legal Matters on the Copyright Act, C-28 LFN 2004, Repeal and Reenactment Bill 2022. Mr. President, I so move.
I need a seconder. Distinguished Senator Surajuddin Ajibola Basiru.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm Dr. Surajuddin Ajibola Basiru, Senator representing Osun Central Senatorial District. I stand to second the motion for the Senate to receive the report of the Joint Committee to receive and consider the report of the Joint Committee on Judiciary and Trade and Investment on the Copyright Act. I so second. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. Those who hold that the Senate do receive and consider the report of the Joint Committee on Trade and Investment and Judiciary, Human Rights and Legal Matters on the Copyright Act, Cap C-28, LFN 2004, Repeal and Enactment Bill 2022, say aye. Those against say nay, the ayes have it. Chairman, you may lead the report, please. You may present the report now. You can summarize it, please.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, report of the Senate Committee on Trade and Investment, Judiciary, Human Rights and Legal Matters on a bill for an act to repeal the Copyright Act, Cap C-28 LFN 2004, and to enact the Copyright Act and for matters connected therewith. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, the bill, what we have in the report actually is a harmonization of two separate bills. The first bill, Copyright Act Cap C-28 LFN, Repeal and Enactment Bill 2021 SB 688, was sponsored by Senator Mukail A. Abiru, representing Lagos East Senatorial District, while the second bill, Copyright Act Cap C-28 LFN 2004 Repeal and Enactment, was an executive bill sponsored by the Senate leader, distinguished Senator Yahya Abubakar Abdullahi, representing Kebbi North Senatorial District. The Senate at its plenary sittings on Tuesday, 8 June 2021 and Tuesday, 28 September 2021, respectively, deliberated on the general principles of the two bills. After extensive deliberate, the bills were read for the second time and referred to the Senate Committee on Trade and Investment, as well as Judiciary, Human Rights and Legal Matters for further legislative action and to report back with its recommendations. The objectives of the bill are stated on page 2. The methodology and the proceedings at the public hearing were all addressed on pages 3 to 10. And distinguished colleagues, on page 10, we have our observations and findings.
From the preponderance of views canvassed by stakeholders and members of the general public, and our subsequent analysis of the provisions of the bill in our markup sessions, the Joint Committee hereby made the following observations and findings. 1, that stakeholders unanimously supported the passage of the bill with appeal for further modifications in line with opinions canvassed in the course of the public hearing to further enrich the legislative proposal in line with international best practices. 2, that the bill seeks to reinvigorate and strengthen the extant Act on Copyright in Nigeria to enable the Nigerian Copyright Commission to seamlessly perform its statutory functions in the best interest of Nigerians in order to provide the necessary safeguard for the protection and proper regulation of the creative industry because of its strategic importance to the country. 3, that the passage of the bill certainly will strengthen the copyright regime in Nigeria as well as enhance the capacity of the Nigerian Copyright Commission for effective administration and enforcement of the provision of the Act in line with modern values, norms, and practice obtainable in other jurisdictions. 4, that the intent and purpose of the bill generally is to reposition the Nigerian creative industries for greater growth and strengthen their capacities to compete more effectively in the global marketplace and to enable Nigeria to fully satisfy its obligation under various international copyright instruments. 5, that piracy of Nigerian creative works has devastated businesses, harmed consumers, and acted as incentive to foreign direct investment in the relevant sectors. 6, that the proposed legislation makes online and digital reproduction an infringement as well as properly defines material copy to accommodate transient or non-permanent copy that are obtainable online. 7, that the bill seeks to align Nigeria's copyright law to what is suitable for Nigeria in line with the relevant international treaties, including the World Trade Organization Agreement on trade-related aspects of intellectual property rights. 8, that the bill provides for new rights of remuneration for performance in respect of audiovisual works where their performances are subjected to fixation and subsequent exploitation on other platforms. 9, that there are innovative provisions in the bill to address copyright infringements on the internet, and more elaborate provision has been made for takedown of infringing content, whereby procedures for notice to take down infringing content in a digital work, process of deleting accounts of repeated offenders, blocking of infringing websites, and liabilities for intermediaries in the online environment were aptly provided for. 10, that the bill makes deliberate provision to safeguard anti-piracy measures and the circumvention of effective technological protection measures and the safeguarding of rights management information. 11, that a robust copyright framework that seeks to implement, uphold, and protect the exclusive rights of those engaged in financing and producing creative works such as books, music, films, and broadcasts is an essential prerequisite for the long-term growth and sustainability of the flagship of Nigerian creative industry. 12, that this proposed legislation has taken cognizance of reproduction of works which by modern technology has gone digital into online and could transmit, thereby making, and cloud transmissions, thereby making emphasis on only physical reproductions obsolete as material reproductions are less relevant in modern day exploitation of copyright works. 13, that Nigeria is a country with an impressive repertoire of creative works in all genres, hence the need for appropriate, responsive, resilient, and deliberate legislation for the protection and safeguard of this viable industry in line with global best practices is paramount. And 14, that the passage of this bill will no doubt reposition the country and provide the enabling environment for businesses to thrive in the fast-growing creative industry.
which would consequently attract economic growth through foreign direct investment. Our recommendation. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, flowing from the presentations made during the public hearing and the foregoing observations and findings, the Senate Joint Committee on Trade and Investment and Judiciary, Human Rights and Legal Matters, to which this bill was referred, having favorably considered same, recommends as follows: that the Senate do consider and pass the bill for an act to repeal the Copyright Act, Cap C-28 LFN 2004, and enact the Copyright Act to provide for the regulation, protection, and administration of copyright and for related matters as amended. We wish to use this opportunity, Mr. President, to thank you and our distinguished colleagues for the opportunity to serve in this capacity. I so move.
Senator Leader, you are raising your hand. Any comments?
Just, Mr. President, my distinguished colleagues, I just want to make a short plea here before we go to the Committee of the Whole. This bill is a very, very important bill. That's why you have two bills that have been made into one. The bill that was presented by distinguished Senator Abiru and the bill that I think came from the executive arm of government. It amends and streamlines the copyright laws of this country, which involve property, and a major sector of the Nigerian economy is involved here. Therefore, I think when we go through this particular bill, people should go through and look at it very, very clearly so that we can make contributions, to make sure that what goes out of this place, deserves the honor and the strength of this particular institution. So I just say that let's put our eyes on the ball so that wherever people notice something, particularly those of us who have experience in this kind of industry, I think proper consideration should be given to this. I just want to raise this issue.
Well, thank you, Leader. So, Leader, move for the Committee of the Whole, please.
With this, Mr. President, I rise to move that this Senate resolves in the Committee of the Whole for this chamber to consider this report. I so move.
Minority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. I rise to second the motion that the Senate do resolve to the Committee of the Whole to consider this important report.
Thank you very much. Distinguished colleagues, we have listened to what the leader said. So those of us, those in favor that this Senate resolves into Committee of the Whole to consider the report clause by clause, say aye. Those against, say nay. This bill has over 100 clauses. Nevertheless, I will be slightly slow. Those in favor that clauses 1 and 2 stand part of the bill, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Clause 3 is on page 2. Ineligibility for copyright. Only retain those in favor that clauses 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7 stand part of the bill, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Clause 8 is on page 4, all retain. Those who are clause 8, clause 9, clause 10, clause 11, all retain. Clause 12, retained. Clause 13, clause 14, and clause 15 on page 9 stand part of the bill, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Those in order at clause 16 on page 10 On clause 17, stand part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Clause 18 is on page 11, commencements of rights. Those in favor that clause 18, clause 19, clause 20, general exceptions, clause 21, clause 22, clause 23, clause 24, clause 25, clause 26, and clause 27 on page 21, stand part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Those in favor that clause 28 on page 23, first ownership of copyright, clause 29, clause 30, clause 31, clause 32, stand part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Clause 33 is on page 31. License for broadcasting organizations. Those who are at clause 33, 34, 35, 36 on page 33, 37, action for infringement, 38, 39, limitation to the right of action, and clause 40, stand part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Those who are at clause 41 on page 37, clause 42, admissibility of affidavit evidence, clause 43, clause 44, clause 45, clause 46, clause 47, clause 48, clause 49, and clause 50 on page 45. Stand part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Clause 51 on page 48. Those in favor at clause 51, clause 52, clause 53, clause 54 on page 52, clause 55, clause 56, clause 57, clause 58, clause 59, and clause 60 stand part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Clause 61, blocking access to online content on page 57. Those who are at clause 61, clause 62, clause 63, clause 64, clause 65, clause 66, clause 67, clause 68, clause 69, clause 70. Stand part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Clause 71, infringement of performance rights on page 63. Those who are clause 71, 72, action for infringement of performance rights, 73, 74, 75, 76, 77, 78, 79, and 80 stand part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Clause 81 is on page 71, cessation of membership Those in favor of clause 81, clause 82, removal of the chairman or any member of the governing board of the commission, clause 83, clause 84, clause 85, clause 86, clause 87, clause 88, clause 89, and clause 90 on page 79. Stand part of the bill, say aye. Those against any, the ayes have it. Those in order clause 91 on page 80, establishment of fund for the commission. Clause 92, clause 93, clause 94, clause 95, clause 96, clause 97, clause 98, clause 99, clause 100 on page 85. Stand part of the bill, say aye. Those against, say nay, the ayes have it. Those in favor of clause 101, indemnity, on page 85, 102, 103, 104, 105, 106, and 107. Stand part of the bill, say aye. Those against, say nay, the ayes have it. Those in favor of the interpretation, stands part of the bill, say aye. Those against, say nay, the ayes have it. Those in favor of the short title on page 95, stands part of the bill, say aye. Those against, say nay, the ayes have it. Those in favor of the schedule, stands part of the bill, say aye. Those against, say nay, the ayes have it. Those in favor of the explanatory memorandum on page 97, stands part of the bill, say aye. Those against, say nay, the ayes have it. Those who are the long title on page 1, stands part of the bill, say aye. Those against, say nay, the ayes have it. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, I move that the Senate resume plenary to enable the chair report progress. I so move.
Minority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. I so second.
Distinguished colleagues, those in favor of the motion that the Senate reverse the plenary for the chair to report progress, say aye. Those against, say nay, the ayes have it. The Senate, in the Committee of the Whole, considered the report of the Joint Committee on Trade and Investment and Judiciary, Human Rights and Legal Matters on the Copyright Act Cap C-28, LFN 2004, repeal and enactment Bill 2022, and approved as follows. Long title as recommended, clause 1 to 107 as recommended, interpretation as recommended, short title as recommended, schedule as recommended, explanatory memorandum as recommended. Is this a true reflection of what transpired in the Committee of the Whole? Thank you. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, I rise to move that this bill be read the third time. I so move.
Minority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. I rise to second the motion that this bill be read the third time. I so.
Thank you. Distinguished colleagues, those in favor that this bill be now read the third time, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, a bill for an act to repeal the Copyright Act, Cap C-28, laws of the Federation of Nigeria 2004, and to enact the Copyright Act 2021 and for matters connected therewith 2022. Third reading.
A bill for an act to repeal the Copyright Act Cap C-28, laws of the Federation of Nigeria 2004, and to enact the Copyright Act 2021 and for matters connected with 2022, third reading taken, and this bill is passed. Congratulations. Just like the leader said, this is a very important bill. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, before I go to the seventh order of the day, I would like to expatiate on what you have already said, to congratulate the Committee on Judiciary, Human Rights Matters, and also the Committee on Trade and Investment for a work well done. I have gone through both the two bills, from the one for Abiru and the one submitted from the executive arm of government, and marrying the two and the way they have done it. That's why my prayer, I say we should pay attention. It's a very difficult work, and the amount of work that they have done to come out of this with virtually no correction is a thing that I think we should congratulate the committee, and then we'll also congratulate ourselves as a Senate for passing this very, very important bill at this time. With that, I would like to go to the seventh order of the day, which is a motion standing in the name of the distinguished Senator Henry Seriake Dixon on the need to retain the name of Harold Dapabiri House in the new head office of the NDDC. Mr. President, we wish to invite the distinguished Senator Henry Seriake Dixon to move the motion.
Distinguished Senator Henry Seriake Dixon.
Thank you, Mr. President, and my very distinguished and highly respected colleagues. I am Henry Seriake Dixon, Senator representing Bayelsa West. And Mr. President, I rise this afternoon to move this motion on the need to retain the name Harold Dapabiri, a departed elder statesman and nationalist, in the new headquarters of the NDDC. Mr. President and my dear colleagues, this Senate notes that the late elder statesman and nationalist Harold Dapabiri, of blessed memory, coordinated the activities of the Rivers Conference of Chiefs and Peoples and participated actively in all the pre-independence conferences in Nigeria and abroad, particularly with respect to the Niger Delta issues, the 1957-58 Constitutional Conference, which led to the appointment of the Henry Willings Commission of Inquiry and the report that followed. This Senate also notes that he later formed and led the Niger Delta Congress, NDC, a political party of the Niger Delta people, on whose platform another eminent statesman, nationalist, elder statesman, now late, His Excellency Senator Melford Okilo, former governor, former minister, former senator, was elected on that platform to serve on the first parliament of our country, and he became parliamentary secretary as a result of the alliance between the NDC and the NPC. This Senate also observes that his party, the NDC, was in alliance with the NPC and collaborated with his contemporaries, his friends and allies, like the first Prime Minister, Sir Tafawa Balewa, Chief Nnamdi Azikiwe, Chief Obafemi Awolowo, the Sardauna Ahmadu Bello, blessed memory, and his colleagues in the pre-independence struggles. The Senate notes that the late Harold Dapabiri, all through his adult life, until his death at a ripe old age, fought for the people of Nigeria, all Nigerians, and was a quintessential Nigerian who lived a good life promoting national unity, understanding, bridge building, and cohesion. The Senate is aware that the late Dapabiri collaborated with other leaders of Nigeria and all those who became heads of state during the military, General Yakubu Gowon, as well as in managing the issues and agitations of the Niger Delta leading to the creation of River State, and also led the negotiations that led to the release and pardon of the late Isaac Adakaboro who was made to join the Nigerian military and died fighting to keep Nigeria one. The Senate notes that he served also as an advisor in the cabinet of the new government when he led and negotiated with his friends and allies to create River State. He served in the government, the new government of then JTSP, to stabilize the region and the state. Subsequently, he also kept collaborating, not only with the head of state, General Gowon, but also all his successors, General Murtala Mohammed, and formed close relationship with all of them until the return of our country to democracy, 1998-1999. The Senate notes that until his death, Harold Dapabiri was the founding chairman of the Board of Trustees of the Ijaw National Congress, the Apex Pan Ijaw cultural body, which I had the honor and privilege of serving as the national legal advisor. It was after his death that Pa Clark, who was his deputy, took over and still remains as the chairman of the Board of Trustees. The Senate is aware that through the Henry Willings Commission, which he fought for and pushed, the Commission recommended the establishment of the Niger Delta Basin Development Authority and declared the Niger Delta region as a special development region. And that led to the formation of the first Basin Development Authority, and then subsequently, that model was replicated across the country. The Senate notes that he also offered advice to President Olusegun Obasanjo upon the return of our country to democratic rule, and led several elders to prefer solutions on the way forward. And that was why the President, Obasanjo, and his colleagues in government at that time, with the active support of the National Assembly, for which we are grateful, created the Niger Delta Development Commission, the NDDC. The Senate notes that following the establishment of the NDDC, the federal government of Nigeria, the management of the newly established NDDC, with the active support of the government of River State, led at the time by His Excellency Sir Dr. Peter Odili, who himself was one of the several political proteges of the late Harold Dapabiri, decided to name the NDDC temporary headquarters building donated by the government of River State, an act that we all in the region appreciate. They named that building after Harold Dapabiri. The building, the NDDC Permanent Temporary Secretariat, up until recently, was known as the Harold Dapabiri House. That was an honor bestowed on him, which he appreciated before his demise. I knew because I was one of his young advisors, legal advisors and secretaries towards the end of his life. The Senate observes that the NDDC, after 20 years of existence, has now commissioned, last year, commissioned its permanent headquarters, but observes with dismay, that while the NDDC commissioned and has moved its personnel and activities into its permanent headquarters, which is commendable, it has somehow refused, neglected, or failed to transfer the name Harold Dapabiri earlier approved that adorned the temporary secretariat, temporary headquarters. That should have been done even before the commissioning. That should have been done even before the commission. By not doing that, unless the Senate intervenes, it's as if the honor that was bestowed on one of our founding fathers and leaders has been jettisoned just because the man is dead, and we shouldn't let that happen. The Senate also observes that, well, unlike some of his colleagues and contemporaries who fought and worked for our country's independence and laying its foundation, whose names and images adorn our national currency and also strategic national assets, Harold Dapabri has none in his name other than this. When I was governor, because I was honored and privileged to be mentored by him on how you can, in a multinational country, raise issues, fight for unity, but work for the good of all, including ourselves. He taught us that. I built and named the International Conference Center, which bears his name in Bayelsa. So, accordingly, Mr. President and my dear colleagues, I most respectfully and passionately urge that this Senate should resolve to direct the Secretary to Government of the Federation and the Honorable Minister of Niger Delta Affairs to direct and ensure the retention, because the honor had already been done and approved, retention of the name Harold Dapabri House to be affixed in the NDDC permanent headquarters now without further delay. Mr. President and my dear distinguished colleagues, I so move. And thank you for the order.
Distinguished, I just want to make an observation here. When you say direct, we are a separate arm of government. In my judgment, we can urge, because this is something that we don't have direct control. If you say direct, then it means like by the evening they should host the name there, but we can urge and maybe continue to chase it, hoping that somebody takes immediate action. Are you okay with that? Okay. Distinguished Senator Degi Yobarakuma.
Mr. President, very distinguished colleagues, my name is Senator Biobarakuma Degi Eremian. I represent Bayelsa East Senatorial District. Mr. President, I rise to second this motion moved by my brother, Senator Henry Seriake Dixon, with pleasure, being familiar with the historical background that he had laid. Mr. President, indeed, Harold Dapabri was a great son, not only of Niger Delta, but of this country. He fought for the independence of Nigeria, and until his demise, he stood to defend what is good and what is right in the interest of the people of this great nation. Mr. President, for his contribution towards the development of man and society, particularly that part of this country, I feel that this is the least that we can do, the federal government can do, to immortalize the name of this great son of Nigeria. It is on that note that, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I want to appeal to all of us to support this motion. Thank you.
Can you go to the prayer, please? Accordingly, resolves to urge the Secretary to the Government of the Federation and the Minister of Niger Delta Affairs to direct and ensure the retention of the name Harold Dapabri House in the NDDC permanent headquarters forthwith without further delay. Are we to talk to the Secretary to Government and Minister or the Executive? Yes. Because this is something that needs to be approved maybe by the Federal Executive Council or something. So the Secretary to Government cannot do it. How do you want it? Mama Sani Musa.
No, Your Excellency, my name is Mohammed Sani Musa. What I've seen here, I think it's okay, because he has already said we urge, and then it is the minister that will give the directive. No, already it has been approved.
Senator Sani Musa, you see, why this motion, my understanding of why this motion is here in the first place is because it was there in the temporary building. The new building has been commissioned and is under usage, and the transfer of the name has not been done. So it's either someone has forgotten to bring the name, or maybe it's in confused state of mind whether it should be another name. And I think that's the essence of this. So it's supposed to be the entire government that is going to decide. Okay, Senator, give us a swap.
Yeah, Mr. President, in line with the remarks by distinguished Senator Sani Musa, this has been approved already. Approval was given. That was why in the first place, the name was put on the temporary building. So it is no longer a question of approval. It is the person who is directly in charge to move that same name and fix it on the new building. If there was no approval by the federal government, there wouldn't have been that name in the temporary building. So I don't think it's approval. So I think the appropriate person to be directed will be the minister, not even the secretary to the federal government. It's the minister because he's directly in charge. And so let him move what has already been approved, what has been there. Probably they forgot or nobody actually took cognizance of it. So it's not a question of approval now. The federal government, because government is a continuum, so if another government had approved it, there will be no basis for which the current executive will also go ahead and say we are doing another approval. Approval has been given, it's just to transfer that name to the new structure. I think so. So I think Sani Musa.
Okay, the Chief Whip.
Thank you, Mr. President. When we are governors, that was when that thing was done. It was President Obasanjo that approved, the Federal Executive Council approved that name. I can remember Odile was mandated in a meeting here in Abuja to go and perform that duty. Governor Odile, and this is the fact. That was when it was done.
Chairman NDDC.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, first of all, I want to dispute what the Chief Whip has said. That building was donated with that name by the Rivers State government, and that is why it is there. There is no approval, and I stand to be corrected. Mr. President, the NDDC Act gives the power of NDDC to the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. That is the person known by law, and that is the person that communicates to us. So if there is going to be any urge, it is to be the President or the government of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. That is my position.
Well, that's a revelation. So I will advise that we should have a prayer that will ensure that this desire for us to have the building, NDDC building, the new building named appropriately happen. So let's not do half measure. If we know the information, or if what the chairman NDDC said is the correct situation, then I think we have to toe his line. That is to assume that there was no approval before, or the approval was for the old building. I don't know. Okay, so let's not turn it into. Let's be practical about this.
Mr. President, Senator Ajibola Bashiru, you see, we lawyers, we say it is better to err on the side of caution. If our objective is to get the building to have the name there, and we know that there may be question of authority, which even on this floor we are not already sure of, it is better the prayer is couched in such a way that will be wider enough to get all necessary aspects of the executive to urge them to make that to happen. I think that will be better to err on the side of caution.
So what do you think? I think the executive is okay. The executive is everyone. If it is the minister can do that function. If they need the presidential approval, the president can give an approval. So I agree with you, we shouldn't just be too economical with the words. And this is not law court, please.
why I agree with him. Executive is too ambiguous, Mr. President. If we say executive, we are addressing it. If we are addressing something here, we must know exactly where we can go and monitor. If we say executive, who are you going to monitor it when we have given the send the letter to them? So I think saying that when you say federal government, letters are sent to either the SGF or to the president. But when you say executive, if we go to a parastatal, it's an executive arm of government. So I think it's too general to say executive. Let us be specific. Either we say there's nothing wrong in us urging the president to direct the SGF to do the appropriate thing.
Okay, let's have the proper decision so that we will. Can we have the final decision, not the argument?
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, we make laws here. Our act recognizes Mr. President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria as the person supervising and overseeing the affairs of that place. And so if we are making any urge, it is to Mr. President. Urge the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria to direct, because in any case, if you say executive, he is the executive.
Already moved it. I need a seconder because this is an amendment. This is an amendment to the prayer. Sorry?
A proper amendment, Mr. President.
Which one is proper amendment? No. It's only to second his own. Because that's what is on ground. Is there anyone who wants to second? No, just hold on. I have to put the question first. You can't kill his own this thing by saying, is anybody seconding that? Okay, Senator Abarajibril.
Senator Abarajibril, I stand to second the motion ably moved by the chairman and this committee. I so second.
So, distinguished colleagues, the prayer has been amended by the chairman NDDC, Senator Peter Obushi, that we urge the president to direct the secretary to government the appropriate to urge the president to direct the appropriate authority to name the new NDDC building after Harold Dapa Birie. Is that okay? So those in favor of the one and only prayer as amended, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Leader of the Senate.
President, my highly respected and distinguished colleagues, the eighth order of the day is the motion standing in the name of distinguished Senator Nora Ladi Dadut, Professor, on the need for urgent extension of the new rail line standard gauge from Kaduna to Jos. Mr. President, we wish to invite distinguished Senator Professor Nora Ladi Dadut to move the motion.
Distinguished Professor Nora Ladi Dadut, Plateau South.
Thank you, Mr. President. I am Senator Nora Ladi Dadut, representing Plateau South Senatorial District. My motion, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, reads that the Senate notes the road network in Nigeria is still overwhelmed, as it is still the major means for interstate transportation in Nigeria. Railway is an alternative transportation means, and when functional, the rail transport has significant benefits. It is a great solution to the transportation problem we have in Nigeria. The Senate further notes that this is an important transportation corridor to connect the northwest and the north central of Nigeria, which will pass through important cities and towns and undertake passenger exchange. The Senate is cognizant that the Nigerian Railway Corporation has the exclusive legal right to construct and operate rail service in Nigeria, though the new standard gauge lines network is yet to connect the rail network of neighboring states, including Plateau State, though great success has been recorded with the recent extension of Kaduna-Kano rail line. The Senate further is cognizant that this project is a trunk line of railway in Nigeria, an important part of regional network backbone system, a convenient channel, an important passenger transportation corridor for passenger and freight exchange increase between cities. It is also aware that the recent railway project from Kaduna to Kano involves 203-kilometer double-tracked standard gauge, and when completed, this line is expected to meet the demands for the development of the national economy. The Senate also is aware that Northwest and North Central contribute to the nation's economic development, and therefore the need to link the new modern standard gauge rail line to Jos, Plateau State. This will open an efficient and convenient railway channel for import and export of goods within states and passenger exchange along the line. It will provide an efficient and high-quality traffic means for the sustainable and rapid development of regional and the national economy, strengthen the cooperation and exchange between regions, and further drive the development of traditional industry and domestic industrialization process so as to promote the sustainable development of economy in the whole nation. It is also evident that the old rail line has not been functional for a while, and the NRC new standard gauge lines network does not connect the rail network to all states. Also, the bad road network and challenges of insecurity on the highways have shown the negative effect, and therefore Senate regrets that the distance Kaduna-Jos Railway is only 222 kilometers long. The Kaduna-Jos Railway would have provided, or if provided, an extension from Abuja-Kaduna Railway, and after completion would have greatly improved the transportation efficiency of railway, meeting the demand for medium to long distance and large density transportation service. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I therefore have one prayer, or two, to urge the Senate Committee on Transportation and Federal Ministry of Transportation to explore measures through the Nigerian Railway Corporation in extending the new standard gauge railway line from Kaduna to Jos. And secondly, to urge the Ministry of Transportation to facilitate rail line construction as it affects Plateau State. Mr. President, I so move.
Okay, thank you very much, distinguished. I have a little observation here too. Neither the Committee on Transportation nor the Federal Ministry of Transportation have the jurisdiction and mandate to construct even 1 inch of a rail track. This is something that the federal government or the Federal Executive Council has to approve. So I think your prayer should be just one prayer. I don't know, I will invite the chairman Committee on Land Transport to maybe amend the prayer.
Mr. President, Buhari Abdul Fattah, I think the prayer should be urge the federal government to explore measures through the Nigerian Railway Corporation in extending the new standard gauge railway line from Kaduna to Jos.
Are you going to second it? No. First, he didn't ask you to amend it. So he wants, unless he amends it himself, you can't amend his... So who is... No. Let me finish with this first. Are you going to second it? Okay, Senator Barojibrin.
Mr. President, I'm Senator Barojibrin Kano North. I stand to second the motion ably moved by the chairman, Senate Committee on Transportation. I so second.
It's an amendment to the prayer. And that is collapsing all the two prayers, right? Yes. So it's just one single prayer. I will put it to vote and then after you can bring your own, Senator Suswam. Those in favor of the one and only prayer now, instead of the two here, which is an amendment proposed by Senator Buhari Abdul Fattah, say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Now you have to amend this one or bring additional prayer.
This one, Mr. President. Mr. President, before I mention my amendment, Mr. President, like the chairman ADC said in the previous amendment, the person who heads the federal government and the executive is the president. When you say direct the federal government, that is like an octopus. So it must have a head. So my amendment reads, Mr. President, that urge the President of the Federal Republic to direct the Minister of Transportation to take necessary action to extend the rail from Kaduna to Jos. It's a direct thing. It's the President. When you say federal government...
Okay. Distinguished. You see this is the problem with the lawyers, those of us who are laymen. When he says federal government, we are included. Even if the Federal Council approves, we have to approve the money. So if you say president and we are excluded,
President who will direct the Ministry of Ministry of Transportation, Mr. President, to take necessary action to extend the rail from Kaduna to Jos. Then when he goes there, the President will now mini to the Minister of Transportation, who will now take the necessary, do the survey, go and do everything necessary for them to bring what is necessary for them to extend the rail.
You are now amending this amended prayer. Any seconder, Senator Ibrahim Hassan.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. Ibrahim Hassan Hadeja, Jigawa Northeast. I rise to second the amendment as ably moved by Senator Suswam.
Thank you very much. Distinguished colleagues, there is an amendment, a surgery of some sort, to the already amended prayer. So those in favor of the amendment sought by Senator Gabriel Suswam, say aye. Those against say nay. No, the ayes have it. Senator Buhari, you have an additional prayer, or you want to amend this one? I think we should leave it as it is, so that it doesn't turn into something that we may not be recognized later. The Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, my highly respected and distinguished colleagues, I rise to move that this Senate step down the consideration on all other items on our order paper to another legislative day. I so move.
Minority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. I so second.
Distinguished colleagues, those in favor of the motion that we stand down the consideration of the other items on the order paper till another legislative day, say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, my highly respected and distinguished colleagues, I rise to move that this Senate adjourns until Tuesday, 12th April 2022 at 10 a.m. prompt. I so move.
Minority Leader.
Then I rise to second the motion that the Senate do adjourn till 12th of April 2022. I so second.
Thank you. Distinguished colleagues, those in favor of the motion that the Senate do adjourn until Tuesday, the 12th day of April 2022 at 10 a.m. prompt, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. The Senate is hereby adjourned till Tuesday next week, the 12th day of April 2022 at 10 a.m. prompt.